This week I'm going to be doing a long-term use review on our 4Runner's front steel bumper from Southern Style Offroad. I'll be telling you what we like about it, what we don't like about it, what we'd like to see different about it, and whatever mistakes we may have made with it. Mary is off on a special assignment this week, so it's just going to be me. First up, I'd like to apologize for how dirty it is. This thing is full of bug guts and mud. We just got back from a trip. I'd also like to apologize for the monsoon that's happening outside right now. You may hear that. And as always, I will put a link to the install video when we first put this on in this video's video description. This is, I think, the very first thing we ever did on the 4Runner when we bought it. Gosh, that's 5 years ago now. And the reason why we chose this one, because we looked around at all kinds of bumpers, and we looked at the CBI full bumper. That was one of our choices. But we chose this one because of the weight. Those full bumpers adds a lot of weight way out here on the front. And from the very beginning of this build, we decided we needed to really watch the weight closely. I mean, things got a little out of hand, but it's still not as heavy as a lot of the builds out there. And I think at that time, 5 years ago or so, I think they were the only ones that had a decent slimline bumper like this. And then maybe a year later, we did get the high clearance kits, the wings for the sides, so we can cut the bumpers, get a little bit more clearance going right in front of the tires there. And then shortly after that, they came out with an aluminum version. And at first I thought, oh man, we could have saved a little bit of weight with that aluminum one. Maybe we should have got that, or maybe we should get rid of this one and get it. But as much as we bang into the aluminum bumper would not have held up down here like the steel one has. This is still pretty darn straight. There's a couple little dents in it, and some gouges, but it's held up nice, really nice. What we like about it, it's got this hoop, and it helps to protect the grill and this fascia here pretty well, and it looks cool. It has a space cut out for, and this is a 30-inch rigid. Pretty pricey, but it's held up. We have had no problems with it at all, and it is as bright as the sun, for crying out loud. And they put mounts for this specific light in here, so it's just a simple bolt it in there and forget about it. Like I said earlier, the weight, it's far lighter than one of those big, bulky, full steel bumpers. What I really like, and what I'm truly impressed with, is the powder coating on here. There's no flakes, there's nothing, there's no delaminations, none of it has come off except for where we hit stuff, of course. Down under here, this is pretty scraped up. So what we do is just before winter every year is we sand it down a little bit and just rattle can some black on there. You can't really see it down here. But yeah, the rest of the powder coating it looks like crap right now with all the bugs and mud on here, but cleaned up, it looks perfect still. Look brand new. What we don't like about it, well, I guess, there's nothing we don't like about it. I guess the only complaint I would have, and it's not because of the bumper at all, it's the access to the winch. I do have these access holes where you can get up to the on-off switch and the clutch over here. It's a little tough, especially if you're up to here in mud, but I mean, that's not the bumper's fault. That's just the nature of the beast of the design of this. You can't see it. You can kind of see down in here when you're rewinding it, but that's, like I said, that's the nature of a bumper like this. Another thing that we encountered, which again, not the bumper's fault, it's all on me, is we actually wore a hole through that aluminum AC line that's behind the grill here. What happened was it was up against the cable going, one of the cables, power cables going to the winch. And you wouldn't think that rubber on the aluminum would matter, but over time, that rubber wore a hole right through the side of that aluminum line. And then all of a sudden we're driving along and hey, how come the AC's not working? And it was, of course, in the middle of summer, 95 degrees or whatever it was. But yeah, it was a fairly easy fix. Got the line from Toyota, put it in myself, had a shop recharge it, so it wasn't that big a deal. Another thing that is a bit of a concern is down underneath here at each side where the transmission lines that go to the cooler and the radiator, they come dangerously close to the bumper. So what I did is just take some rubber fuel line, split it, and put that in between that transmission line and the edge of the bumper. And it's been like that for 5 years, no problems at all. Now a little bit about the high clearance kit. Before it, the bumper itself would come all the way down to here, and that got bashed up pretty bad, the plastic bumper. In fact, there was a big dent in one side. I think this side over here, the big, huge dent in it, really scraped up bad. So the high clearance kit really is very beneficial. We had a little bit of an incident at Windrock Park in Tennessee, the Appalachian Toyota Roundup, a couple years ago. We destroyed that front fender, and I took it to the body shop here close by, and they said that if that piece of steel, that high clearance wing wasn't there, I would have caused much more damage into the inner fender well and probably up into the hood. Now that wing, that steel part, was bent way past any kind of fixing. We did have to replace it. That's something to think about. One thing that I really need to look into is a license plate holder. We do have one on here, and we hold the license plate on with a couple little wing nuts coming in from the side. But the one we have, the license plate only comes up to here. It's kind of an angle. It doesn't flip all the way up, which is a problem because then our license plate is all dented all to crap because we don't have enough clearance here, so we're just bending the license plate itself up out of the way. So I have to look for a better license plate holder. Now the only thing that we did, what we would consider wrong in the original install, is we did not cut a wide enough clearance in between the plastic body here and the bumper. What happened was, when you go wheeling and you're flexing out a lot, the frame and the body are separate, and they're just held together by big rubber bushings like this, and they move independently. So what happens is the bumper will kick up on here or put pressure on here and pop some of these fasteners loose. We actually had this, I think this side, maybe it was the other side, but they actually, thunder's here. But it actually came loose. The bumper, or the plastic part, actually came loose when we were flexing on a trail someplace. And the same thing with the high clearance. We had the tolerances between the plastic and the steel too tight there, and it was making an awful rubbing noise going down the road. So, but then again, you start out with the small clearance because you can always take off. You can't put it back on, this plastic. So, but that's really, I think, the only mistake we made on this. It was pretty straightforward install. We were pretty nervous about cutting into a vehicle that I don't think we even had 5,000 miles on it yet. It was only a few months old, and we took a sawzall to it and start cutting the thing up. But we're really glad we did. Bottom line, would we recommend this bumper? Absolutely 100% yes. I would stick with this bumper above any other manufacturers out there, even above the full bumpers. They look kind of cool and all, but weight wise, you can't go wrong with the Slimline bumper from Southern Style Offroad. So if you like this video, please hit that like button. That helps us get our videos out to more people, and please consider subscribing to our channel.